Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all. This is Naren Prasad. I will be presenting a paper today on what has happened to the engagés in the Réunion Island. My co-author is Dr. Satchidanand Seethanen from the University of the Réunion. First of all, let me thank the organizers for accepting our paper to be presented at this very prestigious international conference. So thank you very much. Before I start my presentation, I would like to mention two points. The first is doing research on the indentured laborers, or what we call the grimitiers in Fiji. It's a very personal story for me and my co-author. We are both descendants of the Grimitiers. So it's a very personal journey for us, and understanding where they came from, our ancestors, and what has happened to them. I have my family both in Fiji and also in the Réunion Island. So what we will be presenting today is looking at what has happened to the descendants of the indentured laborers in the Réunion Island. The second point I want to mention is that there is not much research and literature on the indentured laborers in the Réunion Island, for several reasons. First is that if there is any research, it's in French, so it's not easily available in the Anglo-Saxon literature. And secondly, the French do not allow disaggregated data according to ethnicity. So that's very, very complicated to undertake any research. However, we can base our research on the historical side, and that's what we will do, and then use some of the literature in French and show what has happened to the engagés. But the term engagé, it's a French word of what we in the Anglo-Saxon called the indentured laborers. More or less, it's the same meaning, where you voluntarily give your labor to certain people, like the plantation economies, for a certain period of time for a certain sum of money. So the word engagé is a French word equivalent to indentured laborers. What we will do is, before we even go further, it's important that we understand a little bit of the historical context of the indentured laborers who had moved to the Réunion Island. Very briefly, for those of you who don't know where Réunion Island is, it's in the Indian Ocean, between Mauritius on the right and Madagascar on the left. It's a small island country, or it belongs to France. It was colonized in 1646 by the French, and it has become a French department or territory now, which still belongs to France. There are some 860,000 people, and 30% of them have Indian origin. As I said, it's a very small island, a similar size as Mauritius, twice as small as where I come from Vanuatu in Fiji. So it's a small island in the Indian Ocean. Just by looking at the number of people who have come to the Réunion Island during the indentured period, you can see that even before the formal indentured laborer system that took place in 1848, there were already a few Indian migrants in the Réunion Island who were brought mainly as domestic workers or tradesmen. In 1828, already there were some 1,000 Indians in Réunion Island. But the trend really increased from 1848 with Franco Anglais, what we call British and French convention that came in being in 1848 in order to bring Indian laborers to work in the plantation economy as a result of the end of the slavery system in France in 1848. So this graph shows the number of people each year that came from India to the Réunion Island, the bar chart, which corresponds to the left-hand axis. You can see it has been up and down based on each year. The highest number of people who came in one year was 1854. Around 9,000 Indians came to the Réunion Island, and of course in 1849 was about 8,000, and it has been up and down. The line graph, which is on the right hand axis, it's the cumulative amount of Indians in the Réunion Island based on the specific year of the graph. So you can see by the end of 1853 there were over 90,000 indentured laborers in the Réunion Island. But of course, a third of them had already returned after their indentured period had been over. So there is an estimation that some 60,000 indentured laborers were brought in the Réunion Island who stayed there, and of course the descendants of them are still there. So this graph shows the amount of laborers that came from India. Most of the people who came to the Réunion Island came from the southern part of India, the Tamil Nadu, mostly from the French contours of Pondicherry. And of course, the people who came to the Réunion Island are from the southern components of the Tamil Nadu region, Madras, Karikal, and other regions of India. So that's why the language, the culture, the tradition which is practiced in the Réunion Island is mostly Tamil. What we wanted to show is that, in fact, the identity and the integration part of how the indentured laborers have fared so far. First of all, we wanted to mention that the church was an extremely important vector in converting the Indian migrants to Christianity. Not only did they convert to Christian, but they had to change their names from the Indian names to Christian names. The other vector that led to their identity was there was this persistence of Hindu rituals which were still practiced in the Réunion Island, although it was not very much tolerated by the French authorities. It was more or less tolerated by the landowners, where the temples and religious activities were allowed by the landowners in order to get social peace. So the Hindu religion has stayed there in the Réunion Island. As I was mentioning, that because of Christianity, because of the French Republic's principles and values, many of the migrant indentured laborers changed their names, the Indian names, to Christian names. Even if you'll go to Réunion today, you'll find many people with Indian origin still do have Christian names. I have given you a few examples in our paper, but one of the examples I'm giving here is, for example, Minakshi became Minachi, and other names were all changed from the Indian to either Christian names or something else. The language, most of the people of Réunion have lost the language, mostly Tamil was spoken, and of course other languages, Bengali, Hindi, and Telugu also was spoken at the beginning, but these languages has been lost because of the French authorities did not tolerate a different language, and therefore most of the people in Réunion speak their own Creole or French, of course, but the Hindi or Tamil is not practiced anymore. However, since the 1980s, there has been a revival or a rediscovery of their own Indian identity through the language, through the interest in Hinduism, travel to India, and the way of dressing. You can see that people are coming back to the origins of their Indianness. And also, since the 1990s, we have seen that when babies were born, Indian names were given. So that was again a sign of the revival of their Indianness. Some of the festivals like Deepavali have become very popular, and other festivals such as Pongal have always stayed there. The Pongal is the festival of harvest that the indentured laborers were practicing after their harvest. So those things are still practiced. In terms of what has happened to the indentured laborers, the descendants of them, although most of them were exploited, like in other countries in the Caribbean islands or in Fiji, the conditions were very harsh. They managed somehow to climb up the social ladder through whatever opportunities were given. Now, most of them are highly educated. Historically, after their indenture period was over, most of them bought land. They became landowners. They started sugarcane production. Some of the successful business people became the industrialists and have factories. Others had their transport companies, and many of them are still either big traders or small traders. And I have given some names there of very well-known business people of Indian descent, and in our paper we developed some of their stories. Today we have also seen many of them also in the political positions or high government officials of those who are descendant of the Indian indentured laborers, and there were a few well-known trade unionists. For example, we have given the name of some of them, and also we have developed this part in our paper. In terms of conclusion, so what we wanted to mention is that we have provided you of the context of the Indian migration that took place in the Réunion Island from 1848 and onwards, and the number of how many Indians came to the Réunion Island. We have also showed that although the language is lost, there has been a revival towards seeking their Indian identity, especially through the religion. And of course, there are lots of success stories that we can talk about in terms of the descendants of the indentured laborers. So that is all we want to present today. I would be very happy to take your questions. Thank you very much.